Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Heat wastes big night from Jimmy Butler in overtime loss to Pistons. Takeaways and details. Miami Heat forward Jimmy Butler, 22, dribbles as Detroit Pistons guard Malik Beasley, 5, defends in the first half at Little Caesars Arena. Rick Osentowski. Main images. 5 takeaways from the Miami Heat's 125-124 overtime loss to the Detroit Pistons, 11-16, on Monday night at Little Caesars Arena. The Heat, 13-11, now returns home for another 3-day break before hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder on Friday. Just when it appeared that the Heat was generating some momentum after a slow start to the season, Monday's loss happened. It was a rough one, too. The Heat entered riding a season-long 4-game winning streak, and the Pistons entered with 8 losses in their last 11 games. But it was the Pistons that came away with the win Monday, surviving a wild finish to come away with the overtime victory. First, the Pistons led by 19 points, with 8:39 left in the fourth quarter. But the Heat closed the fourth quarter on a huge 26-7 run to send the game to overtime. The run to end regulation was capped off by a game-saving shot from Tyler Herro, who caught a pitch pass from Jimmy Butler and hit a game-tying three-pointer with 5.2 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. The back-and-forth swings continued in overtime, as the Heat scored the first 8 points of the extra period to take an 8-point lead with 2:14 left in overtime. That's when the Pistons put together a comeback of their own, as Tim Hardaway Jr. hit 3 straight threes to spark a 9-0 run and put Detroit ahead by 1 point with 1:10 remaining in overtime. Butler then made a layup to give the Heat a 1-point advantage with 44.3 seconds left in the extra period. But that lead didn't last long, as Cade Cunningham scored on a 6-foot jumper to put the Pistons back ahead by 1 point on the next possession. After Herro missed a three-pointer with 23.9 seconds left in overtime, Pistons center Jalen Duren grabbed the defensive rebound. With the Heat still having a foul to give, Duncan Robinson committed a foul to preserve the clock. But on the ensuing side-out-of-bounds play, the Heat didn't need to commit another foul to send the Pistons to the free-throw line and prolong the game. Instead, the Pistons committed a bad turnover and the Heat regained possession trailing by 1 point and 9.4 seconds left in overtime. After the Heat called a timeout to draw up a play, Butler missed a layup and before grabbing the offensive rebound and getting fouled with 6.4 seconds on the clock. With the foul not called on the shot, the Heat was forced to run another side-out-of-bounds play. However, Herro missed a 30-foot three-point attempt as the final buzzer sounded on the Heat's hopes of escaping with the victory. "You live with that," Heat coach Erik Spoelstra said of going for the three-pointer instead of a shot closer to the basket in a 1-point game. Tyler made a bunch of big shots going down the stretch. It's always tough to get a wide-open look on a side out of bounds. We were fortunate to get a couple and that one looked like it had a chance. What does Butler think about the Heat's decision to go for a three-pointer in that late-game situation when facing a 1-point deficit? "None of that matters if the shot goes in," Butler said. "Then we're talking about a great play. That's just basketball as a whole. There are so many things we could have done better up to that point. I hate to say it, but you learn from a loss." It was an up-and-down night for Herro, who totaled just 10 points on 4 of 12 shooting from the field and 1 of 7 shooting from three-point range through the first 3 quarters on Monday, before coming alive to score 13 fourth-quarter points while helping send the game to overtime. He did not score in overtime. Hardaway's hot shooting in OT helps Pistons nip Heat. Cade Cunningham had 20 points, a career-high 18 assists and 11 rebounds for the Pistons, his 6th triple-double of the season. Jimmy Butler had 35 points, 19 rebounds and 10 assists for Miami. Malik Beasley led the Pistons with 28 points and went 7 of 13 on three-pointers. Miami trailed by 19 points in the second half, but finished regulation on an 18-2 run before scoring the first 8 points of overtime. Hardaway's first two threes pulled Detroit within 122-120 with 1:35 left in OT. After Tyler Herro missed an off-balance jumper, Hardaway hit another three to put the Pistons ahead 123-122. Butler and Cunningham traded baskets before Herro missed again with 19 seconds to play. A turnover gave Miami one more chance, but Herro missed a three at the buzzer. The Pistons, who had lost 4 of 5, shot 50%, 20 of 40, from three-point range. Takeaways. Heat: Herro went 4 of 17 from long range, extending his streak to 58 games with at least one three, the second longest run in franchise history. Duncan Robinson holds the record with a 69-game streak. Pistons: Detroit played without Jaden Ivey, knee, and Tobias Harris, thumb, then lost Isaiah Stewart in the first half to a hyperextended left knee. That meant playing time for Paul Reed. Key moment. The Pistons outscored Miami 11-2 in the first 4 minutes of the second half. Key stat. Butler became the third player in NBA history to finish with at least 35 points, 19 rebounds, 10 assists, and 4 steals in a game. The others were DeMarcus Cousins in 2018 and George McInnes in 1976. Up next. Heat host Oklahoma City on Friday. Pistons host Utah on Thursday. Report: Heat are looking at their future books while mulling Jimmy Butler decision. The Heat are looking at their future books as they're making decisions on this stuff, Bontemps said. And looking at the potential of being in the tax, and in the repeater tax, and in the second apron and dealing with the draft pick stuff that comes with that. So, if you're taking on $110 million of future Bradley Beal money, you better be getting a heck of a deal. ESPN's Brian Windhorst also chimed in, sharing that he believes the Heat would rather have Butler over Beal, the Phoenix Suns star, if they're going to have to pay $110 million anyway. Quite frankly, I'm just going to brass tacks right here, Windhorst said. If the Heat were picking who to pay $110 million for the next couple years, next 2 years, I think they would just extend Jimmy. It's been reported that the Heat intend to keep Butler unless a trade offer meets a certain threshold, but there is also a chance that Butler could leave the franchise in the offseason. The six-time All-Star has a player option for the 2025-26 season that he reportedly intends to decline. If Butler does decline the option, he'd be an unrestricted free agent in the offseason. The Heat could still potentially sign and trade him somewhere or bring him back to Miami if that happens, but they also run the risk of losing him for nothing if he signs with a team that has the cap space to absorb a deal without a sign-and trade. It's been reported that the Heat aren't concerned about losing the star in free agency, but it's still possible that could happen. This season, Butler has appeared in 18 games for the Heat and is averaging 18.6 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 4.7 assists per game while shooting 55% from the field and 36% from three. It seems like Miami won't just trade Butler for the sake of trading him, and it has moved into the number 5 seed in the Eastern Conference thanks to a 4-game winning streak. Since Butler has already led the Heat to the NBA Finals twice in his tenure with the franchise, Miami may want to hold on to him to see if he can do it again in the 2024-25 season, especially if Miami is in the mix for one of the top seeds in the conference. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Jimmy Butler? Leave your opinion in the comments.